She was 13-year-old when it happened for the first time. That afternoon felt normal, but something inside her did not feel normal. A slow, heavy pain was in her lower stomach. It was not sharp enough to make her cry, but it was strong enough to make her uncomfortable. She tried to ignore it. She thought maybe she had eaten something bad. But when she went to the bathroom and saw blood on her clothes, her whole body became still. Her hands started to shake. For a moment, she could not breathe properly. She thought she was injured. She thought something inside her body was damaged. No one had ever explained this clearly to her. She had heard quiet talks in school, soft laughter from girls sitting together, and unclear warnings from older cousins, but no one had clearly told her what would really happen. She slowly walked to her mother's room. Her voice was shaking as she said something was wrong. Her mother looked at her and immediately understood. There was no surprise on her mother's face, only seriousness. "It has started," her mother said softly. "Started?" She did not understand what that meant. Instead of comforting her, her mother gave her a cloth and told her how to use it. The house suddenly felt different. The air felt heavy. By evening, the rules began. She was told not to enter the kitchen. She was told not to touch certain food items. She was told not to go near the prayer space. She was told to sleep separately for a few days. The same house, where she had run freely yesterday, now felt like a place full of invisible walls. When she tried to sit beside her grandmother shifted slightly away. It was a small movement, almost unnoticeable, but she felt it deeply. When she reached to help her younger brother with his homework, an elder quickly stopped her and said to let him be. Let him be. As if her touch had become harmful overnight. She could not understand what had changed. She was still the same girl. She still loved the same people. Yet suddenly, she felt untouchable. That night, her stomach cramps became stronger, twisting painfully inside her body. But the emotional pain was louder than the physical one. She lay alone on a thin mattress in the corner, listening to her family laughing in the other room. The sounds of plates, the television, and normal conversations filled the air. But she was not part of it. She felt excluded, without anyone directly saying so. She began to wonder if she had done something wrong. The next day at school was no easier. She walked carefully, constantly worried about stains on her uniform. She avoided running, avoided raising her hand in class, avoided attention. During lunch, she quietly told her best friend that she had started her period. Her friend reacted with wide eyes and awkwardness. Even though it was meant as a joke, her friend slightly moved away, creating distance. That small distance felt bigger than the classroom itself. She pressed her hand against her aching stomach and tried to act normal, but confusion filled her mind. Why was something natural treated like something dirty? Why did people whisper when they talked about it? Why did everyone behave as if she had suddenly become fragile or impure? Later that evening, she overheard relatives saying that she had grown up now and needed to be careful. They spoke about limits and responsibilities. All this because of something her body did naturally. Standing quietly behind a curtain, she realized her childhood felt different now. Not because she had changed emotionally, but because others were looking at her differently. No one asked her how she felt. No one asked if she was in pain. No one told her that it was normal. Sitting alone in the dark, holding her knees close to her chest, she whispered to herself, asking if something was wrong with her. Outside, life continued normally. Inside, her world had shifted in ways she did not yet understand. And this was only the beginning of her journey. The second day was harder, not because the pain increased, but because the silence around her became louder. She noticed how conversation stopped when she entered the room. She noticed how her plate was placed slightly away from others. No one said she was dirty, yet every action made her feel that way. She began to shrink inside herself, walking carefully, speaking softly, existing quietly. It felt as if her body had done something shameful, and now she had to apologize for it, without knowing why. The cramps returned in waves, making her bend slightly while walking, but she hid it. She did not want anyone to say she was weak. She did not want to give anyone another reason to treat her differently. On the third night, while lying alone on her thin mattress, she finally gathered the courage to ask her mother a question that had been burning inside her. She asked why she was not allowed to touch things, why she had to sleep separately, why everyone behaved like she carried something impure. Her mother was silent for a long moment. Then she sighed, not out of anger, but out of tiredness. She explained that this was how it had always been done, that her mother had followed the same rules, and her grandmother before her. "It is tradition," her mother said softly. But tradition did not answer her pain. Tradition did not explain why she felt isolated in her own home. That night, she did not cry. Instead, she thought deeply. She remembered her science class, where the teacher explained how the female body prepares itself every month to create life. She remembered learning that this blood was not a wound, not an injury, but a natural cycle. It was a sign of strength, not weakness. Slowly, something shifted inside her. For days, she had believed that her body had betrayed her. But now, she realized her body was doing something powerful, something that carried the possibility of life itself. How could that be dirty? The next morning, she woke up with a quiet determination. The pain was still there, but her posture was different. When her younger brother ran toward her, without knowing the rules, she did not step back. She let him hug her. Nothing happened. The sky did not fall. The house did not shake. She was still the same sister. Later, when she accidentally walked near the kitchen entrance, and someone reminded her of the restriction, she did not argue. But she also did not lower her eyes in shame. She simply nodded and walked away with dignity. For the first time, she understood that the problem was not her body, but the fear and misunderstanding surrounding it. Days passed, and her period ended. She returned to her normal sleeping place. She was allowed back into every corner of the house. The invisible walls disappeared as suddenly as they had appeared, but she had changed. Something inside her had grown stronger. She no longer saw her period as something to hide in whispers. She began reading more about it. She started asking questions in school without embarrassment. When her younger cousin got her first period months later and sat crying in confusion, she was the one who held her hand and explained everything calmly. She told her cousin that nothing was wrong with her. She told her that bleeding every month did not make her impure, it made her powerful. She could not change everyone's beliefs overnight. She could not erase traditions that had existed for generations, but she could change the way she saw herself, and that was enough to begin with. Every month when the cramps returned, she no longer felt shame. She felt awareness. She felt strength. She understood her body instead of fearing it.